there's a problem here. Because every time I hear figures coming out, you just said that there's 38 bike stations.
No, yeah, the last report is 38 bike stations and 450
Okay, the last time
bicycles.
in your annual report said there were going to be 50. Now,
because
these
just to be clear again,
keep changing. If you'd let me finish,
we need to deal with the facts, Richard. The number of advertising units have obviously decreased and will slightly fluctuate. So that's linked directly to the bicycles and the bike stations. But I think overall, it's a very, very good deal for the city, and I look forward to this operating fully and welcomed by the people of Dublin next year.
At the oral hearing for Bord Planola, we got assurances from the representation of JC Decaux there would be no reduction. Now, this deal seems to be shrinking. As weeks go by, the deal seems to be getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, we've got safety concerns about the sites that have been erected, and they're being left there. Now, there was supposed to be an independent safety review. Who is conducting that independent safety review?
Let Dahi answer that, and then I want to bring Peter in on this. 1850 715 815, Dahi.
Well, in relation to the independent safety, unfortunately I don't have that information readily available to me right now, but I have absolutely no problem in accessing it. And also, as I said, in relation to any safety issues, let's deal with them. Let's deal with them, because this is important, because it does fall within the remit of Dublin City Council, unlike any other advertisements in the city.
Right.
And if Richard has an issue, then contact me directly and I'll meet him, and I will ensure that those modifications take place as a matter of urgency.
Peter O'Neill's on the line. Peter, come in there, please.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie, and I fully support Richard in his opposition to these Euro panels. My own experience, I'm a Fine Gael rep Ballyfermot wards, and we have a number of these partially erected panels on the Kylemore Road and on the Nace Road in Bluebell. They are causing a hazard, and of particular concern to me, they're actually inviting a lot of vandalism at the moment. There's a lot of graffiti going up on them. But my concern is there's very little community gain for communities like Ballyfermot, Bluebell. We're not getting the bicycles. The bicycles are going to be concentrated in the city centre. But more importantly, as Richard rightly said, they are a hazard. I drive the roads around Ballyfermot, and I find it obstructive, and it is obstructing views of pedestrians and motorists. And I'm just really, really appalled. It may work in other cities across Europe, but Dublin isn't a great city for cycling, and that's because of the mismanagement of the traffic in the city. Dublin's a brilliant city, but unfortunately, I'd be really, really concerned about the safety and encouraging this type of development in Dublin City. It's a city that's not ready for this type of cycling movement, so to speak. But just really, safety is paramount, and I do agree with Richard. I think it's very badly thought out. Safety should be first and paramount for all the citizens of Dublin.
Right.
But again, just a bad deal for Dublin.
All right, I want to bring Dahi back in on that. Dahi, no bicycles for Ballyfermot.
Well, just first of all, as I said, Peter's absolutely entitled to his views, but Fine Gael never opposed this. At every step in the road, nobody came up and said we're absolutely...
let's not make this political, please.
No, but he came out and said he was the Fine Gael representative. I didn't.
No, but the reason he made that point was just that he can speak on behalf of his constituents.
I think your listeners need to know the process by which this has gone through. This didn't pop up, to use your home phrase, within the last few months. This is a process gone through a dememocratic, accountable process.
When did you hold a public consultation on this, and who has seen the contract? Who knows what's coming on this deal? Have you seen the contract, Dahi? Because no other councillor has.
And I didn't see the contract, and I asked. We had a meeting with the manager only last week, because it's the other local authorities within Dublin are now going to go for that model as well, and the JC Decaux would rather keep it confidential for the moment until that process, the tendering process, is finished in other local authorities. But
this is a 15-year deal which you haven't seen. You're giving away the rights to the pavement for 15 years. You've no idea what's in the contract.
With all due respect, Richard, the rights to the pavement were given away when advertising bus shelters came in. We're trying to maintain control.
Bus shelters need planning permission, Dahi.
Not the advertising, don't.
Okay, I want to bring Mannix Flynn in at this point. Mannix, good afternoon to you. What's your view on these panels, Euro panels?
Well, I mean, as I said at the outset, when these panels were first mentioned in Dublin not too long ago, and there was consternation about them, I objected to them. Now, I hear the last speaker there talking about rights to the pavements. Well, really, the pavement is the pedestrian. And in relation to bus shelters, I mean, they are to serve the general public, to service the public to get to and fro.
What's wrong with these advertising hoardings?
First of all, this enterprise is a totally commercial enterprise. It's in direct breach of the pedestrians going about their business. It's also an environmental pollutant into the bargain. And further furthermore...
Sorry, just go back, Mannix, that's an environmental pollutant.
Yes, it is.
That's a funny phrase to use for a
what
standalone
it is,
hoarding.
I mean, basically what it is, it's a visual pollutant.
Right.
If you're walking the streets and you see a visual pollutant, which is an advertisement basically up on the footpath, it's bad enough having them blasted at you left, right and centre from the media, etc., newspapers, without having to kind of confront them on the footpath. Now, the other thing about this particular deal is, as the last speaker just said...
Councillor Daithí Doolan.
Yeah, Councillor Daithí Doolan, again, should know better, you know what I mean? Where's the push bikes he was talking about? The situation about this deal is, this is a kind of a private deal that the general public know nothing about, and bearing in mind that it is the general public actually who owned those footpaths. The Dublin City Council, at the end of the day, as I say, have handed over lock, stock and two smoking barrels, the whole of the footpaths, to JC Deco. Now, I know that as far as the Dublin Dockland Development Authority refused some of them because they come under a slightly different planning process. But, you know, the Dublin City Council should be subject to an inquiry by the Department of the Environment, because this actually stinks. We were told we were going to be getting 500 push bikes, that it was going to be a whole rollout. No such a thing. Now we have a situation on the footpath where, as far as I'm concerned, having viewed them, the pedestrian is in direct danger to the traffic passing by, because if you see a motorist, their eye line is directly geared towards these advertising hoardings. And that's basically what they are. No matter what you do with them, whether you light them, whether you build them in sexy aluminium, the point of the matter is this: this is a direct, absolute insult to the general public. And to be quite honest with you, in this day and age, Daithí Doolan and the other councillors who supported this deal should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. It's a disgrace, is what it is.
All right, just leave it there for the minute, Mannix, and let Daithí come back in on that. Daithí.
Well, first of all, I'm certainly not ashamed. I mean, I know Mannix and I share many of his views on social issues, but
you don't share any of my views, Daithí. Okay, so don't go down that road. You're not a pal of mine or a friend of mine, so don't cozy up to me. Okay, end of story.
With all due respect, Mannix, I mean, we had a conversation not too long ago in Temple Bar when you were launching a piece of art.
That's a different kettle of fish altogether. Hang on,
can you both? Sorry, lads. Can you both deal with what we're talking about here?
Absolutely, no problem.
Go ahead.
Obviously, I share some of Mannix's concerns as well as previous speakers. I mean, I'm a cyclist. I don't own a car at all. I'm a cyclist, and I think we do need to make Dublin a cycle-friendly city, and by doing so you put 500 bikes virtually free on the city to be used by the public to ensure that cycling becomes central to any planning or development issue for the city. That's how you make
all right. Councillor Aidan O'Riordan's on the line, 51551. Councillor O'Riordan, good afternoon to you.
How are you doing, Dave?
Now, are you ashamed?
Not at all. I mean, the one thing I think...
You're Labour, isn't that right, Aidan?
That's the Labour Party, yeah. And in fairness to the debate, I think it's fair to say that it was Labour councillor Andrew Montague, who's out of the country at the moment, who proposed the free bike scheme. Now, the way it works in City Council...
And Emer Malone objected to it, by the way.
Yeah, well, let's deal with the issue as it is. I just want to make my first comment. The first comment is that it's because of the lack of... funding or centralised funding that the City Council gets, that when we have a good idea, and Andrew Montague's idea was an excellent idea to put a free bike scheme on the roads, we have to go and find the funding from somewhere. So we couldn't get it from within the City Council purses. We'd love to be able to do that, but we have to deal with the reality of the situation. So when this idea was passed by the estimates, the City Council management said, nice idea, off you go, we have to find the funding from somewhere else. So that's why we went through the tendering process. That's why JC Deco came into the picture. Ideally, we'd love to pay for these schemes ourselves. We'd like to pay for the trail finding scheme ourselves and the public utilities that are coming on board as well.
But what about the concerns that have been raised about the safety and the hazard that they're causing for pedestrians and motorists?
Well, we went through this process, and there was a planning application process, and there was the planning, the process there for everybody to see. Objections went in, the planners had a good look at it, and these
it wasn't subject to an environmental impact study, Councillor.
Yeah, if I could just...
It simply was not subject to an environmental impact study.
I just want to finish my point. The point is that on overall, in terms of advertising in the city, we are losing about 148-sheet large advertising hoardings from around the city as part of this package. So the actual overall advertising space in the city will be reduced by about 2/3 as a result of this scheme, which is something that I was quite excited about.
But at the end of the day,